great principle attached to learning Arabic grammar and indeed the language is what? It is فهم القرآن والسنة. فهم القرآن والسنة, which means fahm is from fahima, we know, which means he understood. Al-Qur'ani, we know what Al-Qur'ani, Kitabullahi, right? Was-sunnati, and the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So we learn the Arabic grammar and by extension the Arabic language for the purpose of fahm al-Qur'ani was-sunnati. And why do we do that? Because as Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in the beginning of Surah Yusuf, Inna anzalnahu Qur'anan Arabiyyan, that we revealed Qur'anan Arabiyyan. Right? So the purpose of us learning is that Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed a Qur'an which is Arabic. And that's an important point, because the Arabic language does not belong to a group of people who are distinct. Rather, as Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in Surah Ar-Rum, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. From His ayat, خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, is the creation of the heavens and the earth. وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ, and اختلاف ألسنتكم, the differences in your tongues, meaning language, وألسنتكم, and your colors. Right? So that is from ayatillah. إن في ذلك الآيات للعالمين. Indeed, in that is an ayah للعالمين. It's important to note, therefore, that all of these languages, they belong to Allah Azza wa Jalla. They are from His ayat. So particularly a Muslim, whether he is an Arab or a non-Arab, should not associate Arabic as the exclusive right of a particular group of people. Rather, it is for Allah Azza wa Jalla, because He revealed His book in it. Had Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed His book in a different language, as He selected for the previous scriptures, then we would have studied that too. Thereafter, and I want to emphasize this point, because for many, many years, and indeed it's continued, when we were younger, we used to attend the masajid, and we would read Kitabullahi, right? And at the beginning in Surah Al-Baqarah, because once you learn how to read the text, then you begin with Surah Al-Baqarah, right? In fact, you feel honored because they give you the first 5 juz especially, right? Which is distinct from the remainder. And in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, we read the ayah, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Do we not read this ayah? Right at the beginning. So the Muslims all over the world, the majority of them who are non-Arab, whose tongue is not Arabic, they read that ayah without any understanding. And that's the greatest calamity. Why? Because in that ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ, that is the book, لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, there's no doubt in it, هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. It is a guidance for the people who have taqwa. Right? And we read it without any understanding. Thereafter, in Surah Al-Baqarah, later on, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, وَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ كِتَابٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَهُمْ وَكَانَ مِنْ قَبْلُ يَسْتَفْتِحُونَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ مَا عَرَفُوا كَفَرُوا بِهِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned regarding the Israelites that وَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ كِتَابٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ, when a book came to them from Allah Azza wa Jalla, that they were waiting for. وَمِن قَبْلُ يَسْتَفْتِحُونَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. And before that, they used to seek victory from Allah against those who disbelieved. The Israelites would seek from Allah Azza wa Jalla victory against those people before Al-Islam, meaning before Al-Quran. We shouldn't say before Al-Islam, but before the revelation of Al-Quran and descending of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then Allah mentioned, وَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ مَا عَرَفُوا. But when it came to them that which they knew, كَفَرُوا بِهِ, they disbelieved in it. Meaning that when it was revealed to the Muslims, those who entered into Al-Islam, they should have taken it. They should have taken it and acted in accordance to it, and not be like those who waited for it, and when it came to them, they disbelieved in it. And similar in Surah Al-Imran, وَمَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ أَنْ يُؤْتِيَ اللَّهُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحُكْمَ وَالنُّبُوَّةَ ثُمَّ يَقُولُ لِلنَّاسِ كُونُوا عِبَادًا لِي مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla said that it's not for a human being that when He gives to him Al-Kitab, the book, وَالْحُكْمَ وَالنُّبُوَّةَ, wisdom and prophethood, that He says to the people, Kunu ibadan li min dunillah, that you should worship me other than Allah. Rather, kunu, He says, kunu rabbaniin, that you should be scholars. Ar-Rabbaniin, bima kuntum tuallimun al-kitab wa bima kuntum tadrusun, because of what you used to teach from the book and what you used to study. We read this ayah in Surah Al-Imran where Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions that they should say to the people, or that they would say to the people, that kunu rabbaniin, bima kuntum tuallimun al-kitab wa bima kuntum tadrusun. Then further on in Surah Al-Imran, towards the end, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ لَتُبَيِّنُنَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ وَلَا تَكْتَمُونَهُ. And then remember when Allah Azza wa Jalla took a covenant from the people who were given this book, who were given the book, لَتُبَيِّنُنَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ, that you're going to make this clear for the people, وَلَا تَكْتَمُونَهُ, and you're not going to conceal it. What did they do? فَنَبَذَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهُورِهِمْ, they placed it behind their backs. وَاشْتَرَوْا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا فَبِئْسَ مَا يَشْتَرُونَ, and then they purchased with it in a transaction a small price, and how evil was it what they did. And similarly in Surah An-Nisa, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِي اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. That do they not have tadabbur, ponder and reflect over Al-Quran? وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ, if it had been from other than Allah Azza wa Jalla, لَوَجَدُوا فِي اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا, they would have found in it many ikhtilaf, contradictions. And Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions Surah Al-Ma'idah, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ وَمُهَيْمِنَ عَلَيْهِ, that we reveal to you the book in truth. مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ, it's an affirmation with that which came before it. وَمُهَيْمِنًا عَلَيْهِ, and it's a criterion over it. فَاحْكُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ أَمَّا جَاءَكَ. So rule between them, rule between the people with what Allah's revealed, and don't follow their desires away from what Allah's revealed from you. All of these ayat, their purpose is what? In order to clarify to the people that the Quran was, its purpose was in order to understand, to act in accordance to, and then to teach the people. That cannot be done except with learning the Arabic language. And then Surah An'am, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, وَهَذَا كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مُبَارَكٌ مُصَدِّقَ الَّذِي بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ لِتُنذِرَ أُمَّ الْقُرَى وَمَنْ حَوْلَهَا, that we revealed this book which is Mubarak, it's blessed, an affirmation of that which came before. لِتُنذِرَ أُمَّ الْقُرَى, that you should warn the people, الْقُرَى, the people of Mecca, the mother of all the cities, وَمَنْ حَوْلَهَا, and that which is besides it. Further on in Surah An'am, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, وَهَذَا كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مُبَارَكٌ فَاتَّبِعُوهُ, that Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed this book which is blessed. فَاتَّبِعُوهُ, so follow it. وَاتَّقُوهُ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ, and then have taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jalla لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentioned, أَن تَكُولَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّا كُنَّا إن منزل الكتاب لطائفتين من قبلنا وإن كنا دراستهم لغافلين. Lest you should say on Yawm al-Qiyamah, addressing the mushrikun, that this book was revealed to those who came before, meaning the Jews and the Christians. وَإِن كُنَّا دِرَاسَتِهِمْ لَغَافِلِينَ, and we were unaware of their studying of this book. So in order that you don't say that to Allah Azza wa Jalla, He revealed the book to you. أو تقولوا لو أن أنزل علينا الكتاب لكنا أهدى منهم, or lest you should say that if it had been given to you, then you would have been upon greater guidance with those who came before. And then in Surah Al-Anfal, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبَهُم, that the believers are those who, when ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبَهُم, their hearts, it trembles. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا, and when His ayat revealed to them, زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ, and then upon their Lord they have tawakkul. And in Surah Al-Isra, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ وَيُبَشِّرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا kabira, that indeed this Quran, it guides to that which is better, aqwam. وَيُبَشِّرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and it gives glad tidings to the believers, أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا حَسَنًا, أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا كَبِيرًا, that they will have a great reward. And in Surah Yunus, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, يَا يُونَسْ قَدْ جَاءَتْكُمْ مَوْعِظَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي الصُّدُورِ, that O mankind, there has come to you مَوْعِظَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, an admonition from your Lord, وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي الصُّدُورِ, and a cure for that which is in your hearts, وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and a guidance and a mercy for those people who are the believers. قُلْ, say, بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. So say, بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ, by the bounty and the mercy of Allah, خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ, it is better than everything that they collect. Meaning that what Allah Azza wa Jalla gave you from Al-Quran and what it contains, from the shifa, the cure for what is in your hearts, and guidance and mercy and all of these matters, خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ, it's better than everything else that they've collected in the life of this world. And there are many, many other ayat where Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions the virtue and the blessing of Al-Quran. But all the guidance and the blessing and the bounty and the cure, all of these matters cannot be acquired unless a person has knowledge of the Arabic language. And then in addition to that, the correct tafsir of the ayat. But the point is, the first aspect is that the individual must learn the Arabic language. So it is not acceptable, therefore, that millions upon millions of Muslims all over this planet, they read the book of Allah every year, at least during Ramadan, if not outside of Ramadan, and they don't derive the benefit that's contained within the words of Allah Azza wa Jalla. That is the greatest calamity. Why? Because it's in the hadith well known of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anh, in Sahih Muslim. He said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخِرِينَ, that indeed Allah Azza wa Jalla yarfa'u, He raises by this book أَقْوَامًا, groups of people, وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخِرِينَ, and He lowers or debases another group of people. And in the narration in Darimi, He said, radiyallahu an, Inna Allah yarfa'u bihadha al-Qur'ani aqwaman. That indeed Allah Azza wa Jalla, He raises with this Qur'an groups of people and debases others. So if you look at the condition of the ummah during our time today, which isn't hidden from any person, we can see quite clearly who Allah Azza wa Jalla has raised and given ascendancy and authority, and who has been debased. And unfortunately, as in the ayah in Surah Al-Furqan, where Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّي إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. The ayah that where the messenger said, Ya Rabbi, my Lord, inna qawmi, indeed my people, ittakhadhu hadha al-Qur'ana, they took this Qur'an mahjura. Mahjura means abandoned. It's al-halu of ittakhadhu, meaning they took it by abandoning it. And unfortunately that is a condition of so many amongst the people in our time today, from amongst those who claim allegiance to al-Islam. Thereafter, as-Sunnah, Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in Surah An-Nahl, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. That we reveal to you a dhikra, meaning Al-Quran, لِتُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ, in order to make it clear to them, مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ, what has been revealed to them, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, so perhaps they will think. And Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned another ayah in Surah An-Nahl, وَمَا أَنزَلَيْكَ الكتاب إلا لتبين لهم الذي اختلفوا فيه وهدى ورحمة لقوم يؤمنون. That we never revealed to you the book except that you would make it clear to them that which they differ in, and it is a huda, a guidance, ورحمة لقوم يؤمنون, a guidance and a mercy for those people who believe. And Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions Surah An-Nisa, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فردوه إلى الله ورسوله إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا. That if you differ in any matter, then return it back to Allah and His Messenger, if indeed you believe in Allah and the last day. ذلك خير, that is better, وأحسن تأويلا, and it is the best of explanation. So the obligation is to adhere to the Sunnah by virtue of these ayat, in addition to many others, as in the one in Surah An-Nisa, وَمَن يُطِيعِ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهَ. That whoever is obedient to the Messenger has obeyed Allah Azza wa Jalla. How do we adhere to the statement of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam except by returning back to his Sunnah? And in the famous hadith of Irbad ibn Sariyah, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, من يعش منكم بعدي فسيرى اختلافا كثيرا. Whoever amongst you lives after me, فسيرى اختلافا كثيرا, he will see many differences. He said it during his time 14 centuries ago. How many more differences have occurred after that period that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about? فسيرى اختلافا كثيرا. So he advised his companions, فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالسُّنَّةِ, so adhere to my sunnah, وَسُنَّةَ الْخُلَفَاءِ سُنَّةَ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ الْمَهْدِيِّينَ, and the sunnah of the correctly guided khulafa, وَعَضُّوا عَلَيْهَا بِالنَّوَاجِذِ, and bite onto it with your molar teeth. So we know that the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in the Arabic language, as Allah mentioned at the beginning of Surah Ibrahim, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ, that we never sent a messenger except with the tongue of his people in order to make it clear to them. But in our time today, in order to adhere to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have an obligation fahm, to understand it in the language that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam he spoke in.